podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, wherever you're doing, and welcome to the Daily Red podcast. It's Sunday, the 21st of July, the day of rest, and here to do all the Lord's good work is myself, Dave Davis, and take you through everything that relates to Liverpool, the headlines, the stories, and even a little special thing we've got for you at the end as well, which will become clear. So we'll go through all the normal things like we do. We'll call out any other sort of pods, articles, other sites, etc. And we'll bring your Sunday up to speed, ladies and gents. And I've got to be honest, this starts on a really sad, bleak note. I mean, some of you might have seen this already. Liverpool's under-18s are away at a festival. It's described as a German youth tournament. And there are two separate incidents of racism in 2024 at a youth tournament. And people say allegedly, and I know that is right officially, things got to be proved, blah, 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 be investigated. But just what is going on? It's 2024, for Christ's sake. So, yeah, Liverpool say under-18s are away. Now, it's important, really important to say it's two separate incidents on two separate days, and Liverpool walked off the pitch both times. So, there was a game against Hoffenheim on the Friday where this racist term was made. Now, this is important to say, because, and I'll come into this a bit more as well. The organising people within Germany said, it's a friendly term that's been misinterpreted, so we won't say it again after Friday. But whether you believe that or not, I know where I stand. But it then happens again against Frankfurt on the next day. So Friday it happens. The organiser said, it's the interpretations. We'll tell players not to say it, and it happens again on Saturday. I'm sure you will make your own mind up on that. And I'm probably going to get this person's name wrong. I don't really give a crap, to be honest. But Frankfurt's sporting director, Timo Harding, says, we can rule out racism. Good of you to do your own investigation there, Timo. And suggesting a misunderstanding had to do with everything, the word. It was a language issue and therefore hope to sort out the misunderstanding between the Liverpool players and staff. What a load of shit. I just still can't believe in 2024. And you think of the clubs involved. I mean, Hoffenheim and Frankfurt are well-renowned, well-established clubs. Think of Hoffenheim, where we got Bobby from. You think of Frankfurt, who were linked with their players like Pacho, etc. It's 2024, for fuck's sake, people. Like, what is going on? I can only hope that Liverpool, as it seems to be doing, do make a complaint. There is a banning. There is a resolution. And I always wonder, because people say, it's only a youth tournament as well. I saw someone tweet that. What are you talking about? We talk about education and youth. That's where, education, so it doesn't happen in future generations. It just honestly flabbergasts me that this still goes on. And I would think it's right to see some action taken against Hoffenheim, Frankfurt. Almost better is the right phrasing, but it would please me if they came out and said, we're going to investigate. Instead of just going to the blanket defence of, it's a language thing. Do a proper investigation first. Take it seriously. If you find anything, gone, players, dust, index. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. It's just ridiculous and pathetic in this day and age. But there you go. Arne Slot had an interview exclusively with Liverpool FC TV around, this is an interesting one, ladies and gents, the tour of the US and how, his current pre-season training, which will come on at the end as well, has helped them in terms of competing against high-class opposition. And the fact it's better opposition, isn't it? The likes of United, Arsenal, where we're going abroad. So what did he say? I said, assume this, but the resistance to the teams we play is strong. We are trying to implement the ideas and keep doing what we've done so well. Keeping the boys fit, that's the first aim. Those things are the first aim, and then with all the players coming back, I think the quality will definitely go up a lot as well, as those two things, training sessions and boys coming back in, will help us to play even better than we did on Friday. It's only 2 weeks in, so if it was that easy to bring in to implement all your ideas in 2 weeks, then we would have an ideal situation, but it doesn't work with like this. Like I said, the ones who came in from the start, they are still fit now, but they've had 2 weeks of training sessions and stayed fit during the game, so they get fitter and fitter. But yeah, there are definitely more than a few areas we have to improve, and that will come with more sessions, and it will definitely come when all the boys are in. It's going to be interesting, isn't it, in terms of the pre-season? Kind of alluded to yesterday, you'd hope it went up a level, and that doesn't mean anything really about the 1-0 defeat to Preston. We talked about that being nonsense to analyse that. But in terms of fitness, performance, that's what you are looking for. And even as David Lynch put in the article, there's a bit of an uncertainty as who will be in the US, because we know the likes who got to the final, and if you went to the Copper and got to the semi, so you took part in third place. So if you think South American, like Diaz, McAllister, Nunez, they're being ruled out the US tour, according to David Lynch. But also, for the Euros, Trent, Gomez, that's obvious. But then there's questions around, what about Van Dijk, Gravenberch, what about Canate, what about Gakpo, all those who went to the semi-final. So that's a question at the same time. Is there any point? Are they going to be taking part? There was even a story that said, and I find this very strange, and it's not trying to sort of poo-poo other stories or anything, because you can always believe what you want, but Dave O'Cop had an exclusive that Alexis McAllister will join the US tour on the 2nd of August. Even though we sort of he'll be coming back, we fly home a day or so later, surely it would just make sense for him to train at the AXA if he is coming back then at all. So we'll see what happens in that regard. But yeah, the US tour, as Liverpool get set to take off with that, it is an interesting one, and we'll see what Arne Slot says as the days go by, and they'll be in America before you know it. Today as well, ladies and gents, marks 7 years since the signing of Andy Robertson. 8 million quid, 297 appearances, 55 assists for the club. Outrageous value, eh? It's funny that a lot of people are looking for a left back this summer, but it is always important just to mark these occasions. And there is quite a few stories, funnily enough. People have seemed to have saved them up for this Sunday. So a good one to start with. Ian Doyle talked about Kostas Tsimikas and says that there's no desire from either the player or the club for him to leave, despite all the rumours and assumptions. And actually, Tsimikas seems satisfied in his role as Andy Robertson's deputy. There's just a couple of problems with that. It's believable, this is popular in the squad, all those things, but it depends if he wants to play football, because Joe Gomez was used there as Robertson's deputy in the second half of last season. You've got Owen Beck coming back as well. I've been talking about Luke Chambers, who you expect will be loaned as well, but if Tsimikas wants to play football, you never know. You're a new manager and all this. Struggling to see it, aren't you? It does feel as well like positioning in terms of if you want to buy him, you are not getting him on the cheap because he's happy here. That's just what it felt like to me, but you will all take it differently. A few Tyler Morton stories around, and a few had that Liverpool are ready to accept anything around the 20 million offer for the 21-year-old. Again, this was a bit of an older story, but there's a few other reports with it this morning that Sevilla, Red Bull Leipzig, Eintracht Frankfurt, all interested, and Liverpool are hoping almost for a bidding war, as a few of the articles state. So we'll see what happens there. It is Sunday. If you're in the UK, you'll know there's a show called Songs of Praise where I like to sing the good Lord's prayers and everything. So let me just use that sentiment. You may have shows in other countries as well where it talks, it's a Sunday show, that type of thing. Religious, so we're musicality on a Sunday. So let me just give you the musicality for this article. Bullshit. And that would be Rudy Galletti and Team Talk article around Virgil van Dijk and a potential 55 million euros, which equates to about 46 million. Potential move that FSG, what Liverpool will sanction, having been approached by the PIF to let Virgil depart. As David Lynch wrote yesterday, he wants to stay. We want him to stay. I actually believe, as his personal opinion, that of the three, he is the easiest to complete. He wants to stay. He is the captain. It would be the most surprising for me if it happened. Maybe that's the right way of putting it. But the centre-back area rumours don't stop. Caught offside, had one today. Maybe an old one, I'm going to butcher his name, but Bayer Leverkusen defender, Odilon Kasuna, I think it's pronounced, valued around 40 to 45 million euros. Then Liverpool have inquired about him. Ian Doyle also wrote about, as it said, Simicast.
Smoothie King's new lemonade lineup is here.
Lemonade, lemonade, the Smoothie King way.
Try a strawberry guava lemonade SK refresher.
Yum, yum, gotta get some.
Made with real fruit, real juice, and real energy.
Who's thirsty?
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members only pay a $25 copay or less. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Another one who's been linked with the departure seems to be that positioning, Luis Diaz, and said Liverpool would demand 75 million to depart, and a sales only sanctioned once a replacement's lined up, which is interesting because James Pearce indicated it was around 50 million in one of his earlier articles. So, yeah, I'm struggling to see. Let me be clear on a couple of things. We said it before on the transfer show. Luis Diaz would like to leave Liverpool, be it the culture, the weather, all those types of things. That nearly happened last summer, but Liverpool have been clear. It has to be on our terms. These are the terms of it. And obviously you have to get a replacement. That's clear. However, Barca were linked for obvious reasons. Barca had an interest in the player. It looks like they picked Nico Williams, to be honest, out there for their winger option. PSG are also linked, but it seems hard because they've definitely picked João Neves as their midfielder, and it looks like they're all guns in for Victor Osimhen. So where do Moani, Dembele, Ramos they've got? It just seems difficult to envisage that, which then makes you think of Saudi, but there's been no real hot link. What I mean by this is, as much as a lot of people have, and I understand that, Luis Diaz departing and another winger forward, whoever it is, coming in, who's going to buy him? Who's going to meet the standards Liverpool are looking for? Did get it last summer. And also, I think this element is true. A player could want to leave, but be looking at getting a better contract at the same time. The two things are true, because he's looking at his options. He can't leave, give me a better contract. Because he's on, and I'm never going to call him millionaire pittance, but in football terms, he's not had that renewal, has he? So he's still on his original deal. So you would not be surprised if the Diaz camp are pushing for a renewal at the same time if they cannot get the move they want. So yeah, that could be one for the Rumble all summer. I said Arne Slot did an interview. Trent did an interview. Trent did an interview exclusive with the Daily Mirror. Now, important to say on this, he didn't answer or wasn't asked any questions. Maybe it's been agreed about his Liverpool contract, that total future. But what he did talk about was Jurgen Klopp, England specifically, and his position. The only thing he talked about Liverpool is the area and certain elements of that. So he was asked about Klopp. He said, I enjoyed every moment I worked with him. We shared amazing memory, forged an amazing relationship, an amazing bond. So, of course, if it was to happen, him to take the England job, we would pick up where we left off. I'd be very surprised if he did take it. It was clear when he announced he was leaving, the conversations I've had with him and everything on social media, he seems to be enjoying his time off. So it would be a huge surprise. So that was his talk about Jurgen Klopp and the England job. He was also asked about, just a couple of ones to pull from that, his favourite position. And he talked about it that on the pitch influence, he kind of said, it doesn't really concern me and it doesn't really matter what I think. It's the manager in that regard. But whether I'm fullback, defensive or attacking, whether I'm playing higher up the pitch, that is all up to the manager. Very well battered. And also, may or may not surprise you, I don't know. Very praising of Gareth Southgate and the atmosphere. Now that may or may not surprise you because people may think we know how Trent was treated by Gareth Southgate and all those types of things. But yeah, very, very dignified as responses, whether fully truthful or not, you will know better than me. Or not, you'll just have an opinion, won't you? Let's be honest. As well, the supporters club, or supporters board, I should say, did a tweet about how they've spoken to the club after the debacle over last week's sale. The club, just as a reminder, have come out and said as soon as they have an update for a new date, they will let us know at the earliest possible opportunity to help supporters prepare and have apologised for that. Some other things as well. Upcoming, we know we've got the transfer show, me and Trevor recording over the next day or so. Our Media Matters with David Lynch tomorrow as normal. Couple of good articles as well to call out from elsewhere from This is Anfield. I've got 6 left-backs Liverpool could target. A lot of people do feel, understandably, we need a new left-back. I talked about Andy Robinson. I've talked about Tsimikas. So they profile 6 specifically there, worth a quick read. And they also give some detail about Bobby Clark and with his rehab, why he's not been part of anything so far. So a couple of articles to call out there. Now, I said we had a bit of a special, and please, this isn't to be all ITK. Those who listen to me and Trev know we don't claim to be ITKs. We ask, or if we get information, we share it. It's simple as that. It's not to do with clout, followers, views, not to predict anything. And to be fair, the injuries, and it's about preparation, and it's about the changes that Arne Slot and Ruben Peters have been implementing since they've been at the club. So I have to be careful what I say here, but this is a source very close to the club. A medical expert, no doubts about that at all. But let me give you a sort of I wrote things down because I won't say I'm a medical expert by any means. But to give you an insight, it's mainly about the testing and the methods employed. So the first bit is about the testing, as in you may have seen what used to be called the lactate test, the big run that they used to do under Jurgen Klopp, and then they'd have the ears, the sweat, everything, chat like that. So it became people used to call it the ear test as well. Funnily enough, we had some of the players called that the death run, which maybe gives you an insight how they felt about it. But the focus with Arne Slot and Ruben Peters have done this 6-minute testing, interval testing. There's probably a better way of putting it, but that's what I'm going with. That's what I was told. So speaking to this medical source, was asked to sort of compare and contrast them. And they said it's really important that it's almost the same way, or a different way, of doing the same thing. Jurgen Klopp's lactate test came in the 90s, so it's a more traditional, as they called it, methodology. Very much that Slot technique is seen as more modern, but they're both equivocal, really, and they both measure the same thing. In fact, if anything, you can, as the medical expert said, you can make the argument that Klopp's test, the lactate test, is actually more scientific. However, it's a more modern testing, the one they're adapted. So when you've seen these things about the 6 minutes, Sepp van der Berg doing I think there's a couple of things to say there, summarised. They're both measuring the same thing. different methodologies, but both are equivocal. And as he said, you can argue that actually Klopp's is more scientific, but Slot's is more. Just using the word modern doesn't make it worse at all. That's just something that the medical expert was keen to stress. He also said the benefit of doing the Slot method is you don't have to do the long runs or, risk that injury. But at the same time, you get benefit from doing the long runs, as he was also keen to stress in that sense. Yeah, your players get fit, don't they? So it's not about, and this was really stressed to me, it's not about one's right or one's wrong. It's a different way of doing the same thing. So then I was asking about sort of their methods, their style, the way they approach pre-season. So the couple of key points that, and again, I wrote them down here. The Jurgen's style very much is based around endurance. That was the key focus. And we've seen that, haven't we? The big runs, the going away to the Black Forest, the lactate test, very much as the medical expert said, it was all about endurance. What's different now with the Slot and Peters thing from that insight is it's about a combination of injuries, fitness, and performance. It's managing those three together. So it'll be interesting to see the fitness levels, because naturally injuries relate to fitness, and taking a step back from pushing that like the endurance could mean less injuries. That's the Slot, the Peters approach. Not necessarily right or wrong, that is their approach, as they were keen to stress. However, it's unknown fully what will that fitness or the different stance have on the performance element. Yes, it might decrease injuries, but what about the impact on performance? So everyone's going to be watching that. And again, there's a bit of uncertainty how it will affect performance. One thing that the medical expert was also keen to say was, two things, I'm lying already. Two things. I'll go with the first thing they mentioned is, again, that uncertainty. The club and people inside the club have the feeling that because the players have played in tournaments, there's already a good level of natural base fitness that they'll have maintained. So that will play a part in the reduced load, as the source was keen to say, in training. The second element is you shouldn't make sweeping judgments about this early, because it's a new coach, there's new ideas, new tactics, and that actually goes into the performance side as well. You can't just say someone was playing 7 out of 10 under Klopp and 5 out of 10 under Slot, for instance. He's got to be looked at a longer sample size. The source was keen to stress that as well. So there's a lot of info there, I appreciate. Some might say, and the old boys might tear me apart. That's absolutely fine. Some people, medical experts or backgrounds, might say, well, but all I'm doing is relaying that. Someone might say, did you ask this? If it's a good medical question, I won't pretend I would know where to specifically probe further. But I just wanted to share the information that I had with you. So the testing at the start, the death run, 6 minutes, not about one's better than the other. It's a different way of doing the same thing. The style, though, the focus very much for Slot and Peters seems to be the balance between injuries, fitness, and performance, taking into account there's been summer tournaments and getting that level right. Whereas Klopp almost seems to have that, I don't want to say rigid, that's maybe too strong a word, but that formula, if you want to call it that was consistent throughout, but did it adapt at the right time? That's maybe the ultimate test, isn't it? So that was just a bit of special information we said we had from an Anfield Index medical source, very well clued up, has insights as well. So yeah, we just want to share that with you at the same time. And ladies and gents, on Sunday, the 21st of July, enjoy your roasts, enjoy your roasting weather. If it is that for you, enjoy some downtime. That was your Daily Red.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index, and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.